Welcome, 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 welcome to Let's Talk Business. I'm Janice Dakers Jones, and I'm your host. And I would invite you to like this video, subscribe, share it with a friend who is in business or who is thinking about being in business. Today, we're talking about the very important topic of bookkeeping. So, what is bookkeeping? Bookkeeping basically is, just keeping track of your expenses and your income. That's really at a very basic level, that's what it is. Just keeping track of the monies coming in and out of your business, right? And I knew it was very important uh, because accounting is an important function, but it just wasn't my thing. And so I kept putting it off. I kept saying, all right, yeah, I'll deal with it later. Yeah, I'll deal with it later. And then a year passed and it was time to pay taxes. And I had to just take up all of the invoices, everything, pack it all in a box and take it to my accountant. But what was really very difficult for me was when she was going to call me and say, "What is this transaction, Janice?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't remember. It's a year ago. I don't remember." And so it brought home to me the importance of keeping my books and keeping them regularly. It's not something that I do for the taxman, it's something that I do for me. It's something that is really, really important. So, bookkeeping is really just keeping a record of the financial affairs of your business. Um, and it really is so important. And it keeps a track basically of your income and expenses. Accounting, on the other hand, is a little more complex, and it includes things like figuring out how to pay taxes, how much taxes do you pay, generating your financial statements, all of these different things. But at the very basic, the way I look at it is that if I keep proper records at the end of the year, I can, give my accountant access to my system or whatever system I use and for bookkeeping and say, well, here, I have kept this. So basically, all they would need to do is to audit it and then generate the necessary statements, right, based on um, their expertise. So it's really, really important to keep a track of your expenses, especially if you know that you don't like accounting, you don't like numbers, all of those things. As a business owner, you have to figure out a way to keep track of those things. So whether you hire somebody who's going to do it for you, or you're going to figure out a system where you do it for yourself, then really and truly, that is the best way to go, right? So, the records you want to track is that you want to track invoices, you want to track whatever bills you get, whatever receipts, bank and credit card statements. At a very basic, those are the things that you want to focus on. Your invoices are going to track your sales, your bills are going to track, who you owe, and whatever receipts you have are those things you pay for in cash. And your bank and your credit card statements are like super important because, as you will see a little later on, you're going to need them, right, to be able to reconcile what you have versus what the bank says, right? And you want to ensure that those things are correct. Now, what are some of the activities? How often do you need to do these activities, especially if you don't like it? You'll want to do it in a way that is manageable for you and that works for you, right? So, one of the things is that you want to split it up into weekly versus monthly activities, right? On a weekly basis, I always say keep short accounts, keep very short accounts, right? Because it's easier to remember something that's a week ago than something that's a month ago, than something that's 3 months ago. So, and generally, when you do it that way, depending on the type of business you have, then you will you will chances are what the amount of transactions that you have in a week will be a lot less than what you have in a month, etc., etc. So just find a way. So just ensure that whatever tracking system that you use. Now let's talk about the tracking system for a minute. You will want to decide, am I going to use an accounting software? Am I going to use a ledger? Am I going to use Excel? Whatever it is, please, please, please find something that will help you to keep track of these things, right? So you enter all of this data into your tracking system. All of the things, all of your invoices, whatever you sold during the week, whatever you monies, whatever bills you got, whatever receipts, and if you've had any returns, how do you ensure that you keep a track of all of these things? Is really important. And then on a monthly basis, right, you will want to, you know, reconcile your bank records against your records. So you have been keeping your records, and the bank has been keeping their records based on what goes through your account. Now let me pause here to say how important it is that you separate your business and your personal accounts. You need to have a business account separate from a personal account, right? It's like super important. And we'll talk about why it's super important a little later on. You want to pay your vendors, you want to pay utilities, and very importantly, you want to collect whatever monies are outstanding that's on the road for you. And you want to review your financial health. Now, let's talk about your financial health a little bit. Now, your financial, you know that this is how much you use per month, right? You use, say for example, $1,000 per month. Those are your expenses, which includes all your utilities, paying your staff, whatever it is. I mean, $1,000, $100,000, whatever it is, right? And then you want to be able to look at your sales, and you want to be able to say, well, um, will I have enough money? How long will I have money for? How long can I continue this business? Because do I have enough sales? One, are my expenses being covered? All of these things. That's what keeping this record tells you. And so at the end of the month, you have a clear idea. Okay, this is where I am. So it helps you to set goals for the next month. You know, whether it is you want to reduce your expenses, whether it is you want to make a big push to increase your sales, you want to set targets based on what you want to achieve. This document will give you that at the end of the month, right? So it's really, really important that you keep these records and you ensure that you are you are keeping you're keeping track of what's going on in your business. Now, many people do accounts so that they can make tax returns at the end of the year. And let me tell you something, you're doing yourself a disservice, a big disservice. Because as I said before, number one, when you review your records, you're able to look at your cash flow needs, looking at, okay, when do I need so much money? And I can plan ahead. I can plan for slow seasons. I can plan for busy seasons. All of these things, your records tell a story, right? Your records tell a story, and but if you don't keep proper records, then you won't be able to. So, for example, one of the things that I do to ensure that I stay on top of my thing is that every Sunday I take 1 hour on a Sunday and I just enter all my invoices. And after I enter all my invoices on a Sunday, I also take a look at where am I vis-a-vis my goals, where am I vis-a-vis my sales goals, where am I vis-a-vis my customer goals, all of these different things. And I can say, okay, hang on a second here. I need to put a little more pressure here. These sales are lower than I anticipated, or they're higher than I anticipated. So it informs my next action, right? It's really important that you keep all of these things so that when you need to make a decision. You're not making a decision based on an assumption or a hunch or anything like that. You're making that decision on cold, hard facts. And it's really, really important to run in your business. Now, the other thing that you may want to decide is, okay, I don't want to be doing any of these things, but I need to hire somebody to do these things. Okay, fine. Say you hire an accountant or a data entry clerk or somebody like that. You still want to know what to look for because they could be telling you anything. I remember talking to a customer some time ago, and I was looking at um their storeroom, and everything was just all over the place. And I said to them, um, so do you have you ever done a stock count? No. I'm like, okay. And then I said, well, how does your accountant arrive at a figure every month, when he's doing your returns? She says, oh well, he just comes and he eyeballs it and he puts a figure. I'm like, you're doing yourself such a huge disservice, right? In doing something like that. Because inevitably, what happened was that they end up buying back stock that they had already because they don't know what's in there. So, proper record keeping in your business is not a sexy thing, it's not a fun thing, but it's a necessary thing. If you're serious about running your business, then you have to keep proper records. You have to do some form of bookkeeping. So you can either decide to hire someone or you can decide to do it yourself. And in which case you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to do it? One of the things that I do also is that I keep a pouch in my car, and whenever I spend anything, be it a gas or whatever I may buy, supplies or whatever, I stick those receipts in that envelope as soon as I get back in the car. And that's what I use on a weekly basis to enter data into my system. Now, there are many different pieces of software that's out there that you can choose from. There's QuickBooks, there's Wave apps, there is FreshBooks. There are a ton of them out there. You have to decide that you have to look at them and look at what your business requires. You also need to, perhaps if you have an accountant, ask them to help you to decide on which one to use and what you can do on your own versus what they will help you to do. Because, especially if you're a startup and you want to keep things at a minimum, then you will want to ensure that you figure it out, what system you will use. So I encourage you to keep proper records of your business. I encourage you to find systems that work for you, that don't make it feel so onerous, like it's a horrible thing and you're forced to do this thing. If you have children who are interested or who are good at numbers, bring them in and ask them to help you, or family members, that kind of thing. But as a business owner, you need to have an understanding of the numbers so that when they say X to you, you understand what it means for your business. Too many people go into business and their focus is only on the sales and they're not looking on the expenses, and they're not realizing that they're not making money. And that's important. That those are all the bits and pieces of the story that your records tell. So I encourage you to share this video with someone, like and subscribe, and also comment below. Let me know what you do, what software you use, how do you manage your books, do you hire an accountant or do you do it yourself, what do you do, how do you manage your books? And until next time, thank you for stopping by, and share this video with someone you think who could benefit from it, and like and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so that whenever we go live you will hear from us next. Thanks for coming by. See you soon.